Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. I've gotten a lot of questions lately on how you can possibly even do intermittent fasting because you get too hungry. So I know that fasting, automatically think of hunger. Those two seem to go hand in hand, but actually the results of what happens with intermittent fasting might surprise you on how your hunger levels are. So we're gonna be talking about that today and a lot more. For those of you guys who don't know who I am, my name's Autumn and I'm a certified clinical nutritionist, I'm a sports nutritionist, and I'm also a certified personal trainer. On this channel, I talk about everything having to do with wellness, fitness, and how to achieve your wellness goals. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure that you subscribe so you can get all the latest information every week. For today's topic, I want you to start off thinking about fasting. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Probably hunger, right? I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind when I first heard about intermittent fasting. I remember thinking, there is no way I could ever do intermittent fasting because I love my morning smoothie. I love my morning routine with my smoothie, with my cacao nibs and all that. But then I did it. All of the amazing benefits were so great. And one of the biggest things I realized is I wasn't hungry. So how could that be? How can fasting, something that deliberately where you're not eating for a certain amount of time, make it so that you aren't hungry? I'm gonna break that down for you right now. The most important thing when it comes to intermittent fasting isn't the fasting itself, but it's the nutrient timing that goes along with the fasting. You guys who have followed my channel for a while, or you follow me on Instagram or on my website, you guys know about this. You know how important this is and the difference it can make. It stabilizes your blood glucose levels, it stabilizes your hormones. There's so many clients of mine that I've had who have followed this intermittent fasting program with the proper nutrient timing and have had amazing hormone balancing results. One of the benefits of intermittent fasting is that it actually increases your growth hormone. Now, growth hormone, one of its jobs is to protect your lean muscle mass, of course, growth hormone, but also to tap into your fat burning mechanisms. So simple principles here. When you have increased growth hormone, you have increased fat burning. That's where you get the weight loss magic. That's where you get the high energy levels. But it's also where sneakily you get the lack of hunger too. Now, why is this? Well, what is hunger triggered by? Hunger triggered by a few things, but one of the main things is a drop in blood glucose levels. So blood glucose is monitored by insulin. Your body can either use blood glucose levels or fat as its two main energy sources. If you're increasing fat burning, that means that your body's using more fat and it's not using its glucose stores. So that means it's not going to trigger the hunger hormone because hunger results from a drop in blood glucose levels. So just by the sheer aspect that you're increasing your growth hormone levels, you're not only getting the weight loss benefits and increased energy benefits of increased fat burning, you also are decreasing your hunger levels. So that's one way. The second way is with, like I mentioned earlier, proper nutrient timing. Nutrient timing is exactly what it sounds like. You're strategically having certain macronutrients during the day in order to balance your hormones and achieve the weight loss and wellness goals that you want. If you start off with having a high carbohydrate meal, especially after having intermittent fasting, then you're going to have major spikes and falls in blood glucose levels. So let's say normally your blood glucose levels are pretty stable. This is what it looks like when you are in fat burning mode because your body's not using your glucose, so it's not falling or rising. When you have a high carbohydrate meal, on the other hand, it causes a spike in blood glucose and then a rebound fall below normal. This right here triggers hunger. That was me before I started intermittent fasting. I was always hangry. That was like my thing. It is not table right there. Now instead, with proper nutrient timing, what you want to see is a more smooth transition. And maybe even if you do have some carbohydrates later in the day, you want it to have a slow rise and a slow fall so it can go back to normal. Because when it's at this steady state is when you're able to tap into fat burning and you're not going to get hungry or hangry like this guy. So what is it that causes this smooth transition? One of the things, there's a lot of things, but one of the things is having fat, high fat as your first meal. Fat doesn't contain carbohydrates, which means that it's not going to affect your blood glucose levels. It's not going to tap into them. It's not going to use glucose. If you are eating fat, then it smooths that transition. So instead of even having a little bit of a jump, it just stays pretty neutral because you've been using fat while you sleep. Now you're using the fat that you had from what you ate. So you're able to maintain a lower hunger level because you haven't caused a spike and fall in your blood glucose levels. Remember, hunger, one of the ways that it's triggered is by this fall in blood glucose levels. And fat doesn't cause that. Now there's a time and a place for both carbohydrates and fat. Having fat all day is not necessarily the best idea. It's not ideal for hormone balance. And same thing with carbs. If you have that all day, then you're going to have some crazy blood glucose spikes and falls. That's where you get into this. There's hunger, there's hanger, there's Hulk. A big key portion of intermittent fasting to remember is nutrient timing. Remember, nutrient timing is using your body's own hormones to work for you. It's using macronutrients to help balance those hormones. So many people have an imbalance of their own hormones anyway. You don't want to be messing it up even more with food. And in fact, like I mentioned earlier, I've seen some amazing hormone balancing effects from properly using intermittent fasting paired with the nutrient timing. If you're interested in intermittent fasting, highly recommend that you check out my other videos. I have a whole intermittent fasting 101 workshop. I also have a link below to my intermittent fasting 21-day program. Hundreds of people across the world are using this program to change their lives, and it has been amazing to be a part of this. So if you're interested in doing intermittent fasting, make sure you check out the link below, because you don't want to mess up your hormones, and that can happen if you do intermittent fasting wrong. Instead, work with your hormones, and you can actually achieve literally everything you want out of your wellness dreams. If you like this information, make sure to subscribe. I come out with new videos every Thursday on how to live your best life. Also, if you found this useful and you think that somebody else in your family or your friends could benefit from this, or who are struggling with weight loss, make sure to send them this video as well. Spread the word, because this type of information can literally save lives. So thank you guys again for joining me in my kitchen and tolerating my amazing art skills over here. And I'll see you guys here next Thursday.